Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Criterion Connection. I'm Wade.
And I'm Joe.
And here we're going to talk about, we're originally going to do a horror movie this week, but we found out it was not on Filmstruck, and the Barnes & Noble sale ended, so it was like, it's kind of last minute, we got to make a choice, and we chose a totally opposite from horror.
The movie we were originally going to do, we're still going to do it.
Yeah.
It's just going to take us a little longer to figure out how to get our hands on it. We got to wait for shipping or whatever.
And also, we don't do illegal streaming. So, we're not like that. We want to give money to them. So.
Definitely.
Yeah. And support.
Especially for great movies.
Yeah.
Like, I hear that one is.
Yeah, so.
So, we subbed it with one we were going to do later.
Yeah. Totally not a horror movie at all.
That is a complete opposite of, well, depending on what your opinions are of horror. And it's a great movie that, it's on Filmstruck.
I think it's our first musical.
No, we did The Lure.
The Lord, yeah, right.
Yeah, and this is a movie I have a personal attachment to, and Wade just saw it for the first time. So, should I just tell him? I mean, it's in the title.
Yes.
Beatles: A Hard Day's Night, directed by Richard Lester.
Yeah, and a little backstory. When I was I wasn't really huge in Beatles. Mm-hmm. In high school, I was that 80s hardcore kid. It was like, it was like 2000s, but I was in the 80s hardcore because American Hardcore was on DVD.
Yeah, you had that, and don't forget, you had the vest with the big Black Label Society patch.
And also, I was a big metalhead and 80s, Bad Brains, Ozzy Osbourne. So I didn't really, I was like very like, Rolling Stones is overrated and Beatles are overrated, they suck and stuff like that. And then I hit like 25 and I'm like now I'm in my mid-late 20s and I'm like, the Beatles are, I can understand why people say they're the greatest band of all time because hits after hits after hits.
And I've loved the Beatles since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
They used to be one of my favorite bands. And I've heard just about everything you can hear from the Beatles that's been released.
I'm still getting there because I don't like illegally streaming, so I'm still getting there.
Well, it's hard to find some of the stuff.
I can tell you now I don't like their Sgt. Pepper stuff.
That's fun. It's not my favorite.
It's too experimental. I don't like their experimental stuff. I like Revolver.
Revolver is actually one of my least favorite albums.
And Rubber Soul.
Rubber Soul is one of my favorites. And the White Album's one of my favorites. And this album's one of my favorites. And so is Help. They're all fantastic.
Basically, is this their first acting movie?
This is... It might be. It's their first movie dedicated to... Because this is when Beatlemania was hitting. This is 63, 64. Yes. This is right before I think they came to America, actually. So they're still pretty much in England, in Germany, and it's really starting to hit real big. And this is a huge bombshell. Like the soundtrack to this album is the biggest.
It's just hit
album.
after hit after hit.
Like maybe not in sales compared to Sgt. Pepper's, but the amount of singles that came off of it that were number one.
That's what I'm saying about the Beatles.
I think it's about 5 on this album that hit number 1, and it wasn't tied until Bad.
And here's the thing,
I think it was this one.
And this is one of the reasons why I discovered I like the Beatles a lot, because you listen to a Beatles song, I'm like, I've heard that before. I've heard that on the radio. Yep. I've heard that on the movie. You've heard every Beatles song, especially in this movie. The opening of the movie is great. It just kind of throws you in there, and in the middle of Beatlemania, just they're running. And you're like, where's Paul? And you're like, oh, there he is with the beard.
Yeah, I love how this is an introduction to Beatles' sense of humor. We should watch Help sometime.
Okay.
Because it's kind of quirky. It's very kind of British. And the beginning, it shoves you right into Beatlemania. They're getting chased down the streets.
Yeah.
And
they end up on a train car, pretty much.
They end up on the train.
With, we have to specifically say, Paul's other grandfather.
Yeah.
It's not Paul's grandfather, it's his other grandfather.
He's a very clean old man.
And the whole time in the movie, you're like, Paul McCartney and John Lennon are the actors in this.
John Lennon's so great in this movie. And it's funny, this and Help both revolve around Ringo.
You know what I like about... Okay, so let's talk about the Beatles individually. But before that, I want to talk about the characters, the side characters. Like, you have the manager, And then you had the roadie guy who's always left behind,
Yep.
but he's also taller than the manager. We gotta mention he's taller than the manager.
Yeah.
And the manager, I'm like, how did you not quit at all?
And
dealing with these four.
The director of the show with his like
the sweater.
I think he's in Help as well.
And then you have the grandfather, of course, who's always getting into trouble.
Yep, he's a clean old man. He's very clean.
But then we get to the Beatles. Like John Lennon he's very John Lennon doesn't say a lot, but when he does, it's
it's on
there.
point. He's perfect.
And Paul McCartney's always quipping. Ringo is like the unsung hero of this one because he's actually very charming and has very. At first you're like, yeah, it's Ringo, but you're like,
well, that's the point of the movie.
But in Ringo, it's kind of like fun. You see him dancing, and he's like,
yeah, he's a fun guy.
He's crazy, and George Harrison is a block of wood.
He's very quiet. He always is.
George Harrison, like the whole scene with when George Harrison goes to the modeling agency and is one of the worst scenes in the movie because he's just so boring.
But it's so
like
funny
George.
To me. He's like it's like a big fine art studio, and it's George Harrison, and they're trying to dress him up like the model.
I just don't like George Harrison at all in this movie. He just does nothing.
George has always been the quiet one.
Yeah, just like he's not the best looking one. Let's be honest.
No, and Paul's grandfather is the instigator of everything.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And he causes that kind of little. It's not a division within the band because they're always a unit, but Ringo kind of feels singled out. He feels that he's the less attractive one. Everybody's talking about
his
John.
Nose.
Yeah, John, George, and Paul. And Ringo's always forgotten.
Which I know, there's one good scene. It's in the bar when they're all like, basically it's like, it's coming from the bar and the grandfather in the casino. Where they're playing like multiple different Beatles tunes because they're like, we gotta put the entire album on there. We gotta just throw all the songs randomly in this one little scene, and you see how everyone interacts. Like George Harrison is just there. I'm really ripping on George Harrison. I'm sorry. John Lennon's kind of like looking mysterious, and he's like, in a corner, just kind of like talking. Paul McCartney's sitting down, but he's more lively than John, and Ringo's just dancing it up in the best dance I've ever seen. So,
and he had Beatle boots in this movie, if I remember.
And the thing is, like, it's telling like how each character is in one simple scene of music.
Yeah, and
the women love Ringo. Let's be honest. But yeah, I didn't buy the whole like I know that like he's not the most popular, but the women were all over him. He was like, she's just gonna turn me down. I'm like, she's right there.
Yeah.
And then the interview was like, Paul McCartney's like, no, we're just best friends. We're just good friends.
Yeah.
Have you seen your dad? Oh, me and my dad, we're just good friends. Like, that was his answer to everything. I loved it.
And then there's that part where there's that weird break when they all run outside and run around.
When they play Can't Buy Me Love.
Yeah.
And I noticed this because
it's the helicopter shot.
The helicopter shot. I noticed because next week we do a 50s movie.
Yeah.
Is it just a thing with the helicopter shot they never nailed? It's always like shaky.
Well, Steadicam wasn't around then.
Okay, that's what I was saying. Like, because you could just tell. And then like the guy's like, get off my field, and like, okay, bye. Also, there's weird things like
I love the John Lennon in the bathtub.
Yeah.
You remember that scene?
Yeah, and then
so it's John Lennon goofing around in this bathtub, a bubble bath.
Yeah.
And he's playing with like a submarine, and he's got his little like sailor's hat on.
And then he's like, to the bottom.
And then he's like, dive! And he goes under, and then
the manager's like, why? I leave.
They come in to get John, and he pulls the plug, and then John's not there.
Yeah.
And he's right outside when the guy walks out.
It's subtle comedy. It's not over the top comedy.
Yeah, John's so good in this movie. There's the part where the actress sees him, and she's like, I know you. And he's like, you do? She's like, yeah, you've got that face. And he's like, I don't know. I've been told I look like him. And then like he turns it around, and she's like, oh, you don't look like him at all. He's like, she looks more like him than I do.
That's just great. Okay, I did see. There's weird things in this movie where like there's shots where there's just 3 Beatles.
Yeah.
And they just run off. I'm like, where's the other one? And it's usually John that's missing.
John's always missing.
This I'm just like, what is that the joke? And it just kind of threw me off sometimes. Also, I love the police chase, but there's actually an error in the police chase.
Yeah.
Do you know what the error is?
It's been a while, but I don't remember. There's some kind of continuity error, right?
It's the carjacker. He's trying to jack into the car, but if you look, the door locks are up, so you can just open the door.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know about those cars.
Yeah, I don't know either, but
it's possible that it was locked.
Yeah, I just want to say like the lock was like this this high up, and I'm like,
It
is
might be a
elevator
continuity
locked?
error.
And then he gets in the car, and the cop's like, follow him.
Yeah, but
And then there's only one issue with the movie, I feel, and I guess it's the point because this movie doesn't really have a plot.
yeah, there's not much of a plot.
It meanders like around the 40-minute mark till near the end. It just meanders and just it bored me at some point. I was just like, are we getting somewhere with this?
Yeah, I like Help a little more, but this one, I mean, it's a great movie still. I mean, it's fun.
I love how the ending ends with Hard Day's Night. Like, the beginning was just a loop. It's all a loop. It's just, we're going to another situation like this.
Yeah, and what's interesting is they got the screenwriter to write the movie, and they had him write it. They described how he kind of latched onto the way they describe their lives as Beatles is a room, a car, a room, a hotel, a car, a train. Like it's so crazy they can't really stop and look at anything.
Yeah.
They have to. They're always moving. They're always in a small, confined space, and it's them constantly trying to break out. It's a much more symbolic movie than it is a plot-driven movie.
Yeah.
It's about kind of the trappings of fame and superstardom that they kind of find themselves locked into, and they try and just have fun like normal people, and then wild and crazy things start happening.
Because they're in their 20s at this point.
Yeah, they're young. Ringo's the oldest, and he's probably in his mid-20s at the time.
He's the oldest, but he acted like the youngest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, would you buy, rent, or skip this movie?
I bought it multiple times now, so yeah, I'm going to buy it.
I mean, I'd say buy, but if you're not a Beatles fan, it might not be your cup of tea.
I can see why somebody should
The
rent.
humor sometimes is dated. They're like, oh, it's Lassie on the kettle, and like, Lassie. You know, I don't think someone that's a kid or a teenager right now would understand who Lassie is. I don't know how universal Lassie is anymore, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's some... It's also British humor.
Yeah,
some people don't like that. But I say buy if you like the Beatles, if you like music. It's a good music documentary. It's good. It's up there.
It's not a documentary.
You know, like Spinal Tap and Leningrad Cowboys and...
Yeah.
This is better than Leningrad Cowboys. But, you know what I mean? Like, it's a good, like, kind of... 8 Mile's a good example. Like, it's a story, but it's about the band or artist.
Yeah, it's kind of a fictionalized
Walk the lines
version of kind of their life.
Yeah. So it's like it's up there if you like music biopic-ish.
I mean, it's just a music history. This is back when, you know, this is the point where Beatles were becoming super huge. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing about them.
Yeah.
Whether it's the records, now we have movies about the Beatles. This is kind of one of the early times that a music icon, music artist is branching out into other things, and this led them down the road to doing Help. It led them down the road to doing Sgt. Pepper's, or Magical Mystery Tour, whichever one that was. Yellow Submarine. And then later on you got Rolling Stones with Give Me Shelter, which is on the Criterion Collection.
Oh,
This is Spinal Tap. It's a mockumentary later, also on the Criterion Collection. Probably out of print, but it was on it. You know,
Leningrad Cowboys.
Yeah, and
I'm going to keep on bringing up Leningrad Cowboys because I discovered this on the Criterion Collection. And I was so in love with it.
I'm happy, dude. We could do it sometime.
We should have done like a music month. We could have done all of these. But anyway, we'll do that in the future. So we both say buy. So go buy it, or you can check it on Filmstruck if you want. You still want to in there.
Let's do rent/buy because I know it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Tea, very British.
Check it out. See if you like Beatles. Definitely get it. If you are unsure, dip your toe in the water. Give it a rent. Watch it once.
Yeah.
See what you think, and then buy it.
It's on Filmstruck, so you can check it out there. What other musical movies that we did not mention that you want us to put in there on our Criterion Connection episodes, or any movies in general? Please click like and subscribe and all of that, so you get more of these. In the next 2 weeks, we only have 2 more shows of the year. The next 2 weeks we're going to do Christmas. Well, one's a kind of Christmas movie. Mm-hmm. Kind of. It takes place. That's about as far as it goes. And then we're going to do a Christmas movie at the end of the month. Mm-hmm. Not end of the month, like before Christmas, so you can get the Christmas seasons. And then next month is we might be only doing 3 episodes this month, but next month it's 5 weeks. So 5 episodes next week. Yeah, so it's going to be, you know, we're going to have plenty next
And
month.
we're still nailing down which ones we want to
Yeah.
do, because we only had, like, what? Two of them? Yeah.
We try fitting in, like, movies that are coming out, like, during that month from a Criterion collection. So you can buy it, you know, to help them out.
It also helps us out with planning. We can actually incorporate suggestions that you all might have that you need to put in the comments down below, and let us know what you want us to review. If you're interested in a movie and you don't know whether you want to buy, rent the movie, or skip it, I mean, you could just let us know, and then we'll try and fit it into the schedule.
Yeah.
And let you know.
Yeah. So yeah, and also you can follow us on Twitter at MakeCondishNCP and let us know your suggestions there, and retweet this video and stuff like that. You know, spread the word of Criterion Connection and everything Make Condish.
Subscribe, hit the bell if you want to get notifications.
And until next time, just remember, money can't buy you love. Can't. Well, I guess it can.